One thing I'll tell people is that if anybody has to go to federal prison, there's never been a better time than right now. And I feel more optimistic about saying that today than I have at any other time because of these meetings that I've had here in Kansas City. Today is Friday, September the 2nd, and I'm leaving a local hotel here in Kansas City to fly back to Orange County, California after a series of meetings. Now, this all started because, well, it'd be easy to say it started because I got a phone call and an invitation from the regional director of the Bureau of Prisons to visit Kansas City and make a presentation in front of 20 different wardens. But that's really not how it started, and it's really not why I feel so optimistic about telling people, hey, if you're going into the prison system, this is the right time to be sowing seeds for the best possible outcome. So let me just give you the backstory and a recap of my visit here. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Santos. I'm the founder of Prison Professors, and I went to prison at a relatively young age because of really bad decisions I started making during the recklessness of youth. When I was 20 years old, I started trafficking in cocaine, and that led to me receiving a 45-year prison sentence. During that entire journey, I worked hard to develop skills, develop resources, develop a pathway to overcome and become something different than the decisions that I made at the worst time of my life. And so while I was incarcerated, I earned university degrees, I became a published author, I developed a strong support network, and all that was a part of my three-pronged plan to prepare for success upon release. Number one, focus on education. Number two, focus on developing a strong support network. Number three, focus on making amends and reconciling with society by meaningful contributions. And I did that through publishing. But because of all of those efforts, I started developing this relationship with people in the academic community, and I used to write about what I thought we could do to improve outcomes for people who are going into prison. And that led to me building a career around that. But that career really took off slowly because when I got out of prison after 26 years, I had to learn everything. I didn't know how to make a video. I didn't know how to use the internet. I'd never used a cell phone. I mean, I went to prison in 1987. I didn't get out of prison until 2013. But by working hard, I was able to develop a network of people. And through public speaking in judicial event conferences and universities, I got to meet even more people. And that's how I got to meet the regional director. Actually, my relationship with him started when I was still locked inside of a federal prison in Lompoc, California. He was the captain of that institution when I went to the hole for publishing. I developed a relationship with him after I got out of prison. We connected again because we interacted at a conference where I was speaking, and he invited me to come and make a case at the Atwater Federal Prison. And I told him I didn't just want to go there and make a motivational speech to the people in prison. I wanted to deliver them a course. And that course is really one that we call Preparing for Success After Prison. It really changed the culture inside of that institution. He gave me some real insight into how it improved the morale of both people serving time and the people who worked in prisons, but it also lessened the use of force incidents, lessened the violence. It increased the number of people who wanted to leave gangs behind and go to educational programs and so on. So he considered this a success, and as he moved on with his career and left the federal prison in Atwater, California, he then transitioned to the Supermax prison. He became the complex warden in Florence, Colorado. Now, anybody who Googles Florence, Colorado, ADX, will see that it is the most secure prison in the nation. And while at the Supermax, he was also presided over the United States Penitentiary in Atwater, which is a high security prison, the medium security prison in Atwater. Strike this, we're talking about Florence. So the high security penitentiary in USP Florence, known as the United States Penitentiary Florence, the medium security prison in Florence, the camp at Florence. And as the complex warden, he had the authority to bring me to that institution and introduce our program, Preparing for Success After Prison, to the people there. And I got to meet some of the most, I would say, serious people in prison. I don't know if serious is the right word, most lethal people that had killed a lot of people in prison, including correctional officers. And he asked me to make a presentation with them to describe an adjustment strategy in prison that leads to success rather than leads to real struggle and complications. And again, he said he noticed that it changed the culture. Well, then this person, his name is Andy, by the way, continued to advance his career, and he went to Washington, D.C., and he worked, I think, in the Correctional Programs Division as well as with reentry. And he invited me to come to D.C. to make a presentation there to all of the directors. But the pandemic came and they kind of stopped this interaction of bringing people into institutions and so on. But now he received another promotion, and he is now the regional director here in Kansas City for the Bureau of Prisons North Central region. They preside over 20 different prisons, including Terre Haute, Indiana, the penitentiary there where death row is, and it's a very volatile, high security prison, including, of course, Florence, Colorado, the ADX, and so on, and another really high security penitentiary called Thompson. And he asked me to bring our program to every prison inside of the North Central region, but we're going to start inside of these high security prisons. So yesterday, the first day that I was here was Tuesday. I had an opportunity to go to present to the people serving time at the Leavenworth Federal Prison. And that was really exciting for me to go back into the Leavenworth Penitentiary. That is the oldest federal prison in the nation. I studied that when I was in grad school, so I'm somewhat familiar with it. And the architecturally, it looks very much like the prison where I started serving my sentence in the United States Penitentiary in Atlanta, which is the second oldest prison in the United States. So it was really something to be able to speak to these people that were serving lengthy sentences and to give them hope. And typically when I first go into a prison, a lot of the people will question whether I've really served time because I may not look like I served 26 years in prison. But my message to them is always that, that was the plan, to be able to develop skills and develop a pathway that would lead to a better life. And it's the plan that I have for everybody who's going through the prison professors programs, wherever they are. And the nice thing about that is when I leave an institution, I kind of have several hundred ambassadors for our program, and they're calling for us to bring in more of these programs where we define success and we show pathways and we interview people who've become successful after prison. So from Leavenworth, I then met with the executive staff at the Leavenworth prison. But the real highlight of my day was spending one-on-one time with Andy, the regional director of the Bureau of Prisons. He was able to give me a lot of insight about what's changing. And it's, again, one of the reasons I feel so optimistic for people going inside or for people who are inside. Now, obviously, everybody would like to get out of jail free card, but that's not realistic. What is realistic is that a person has the ability to influence better outcomes through these programs that they can get earned time credits. And our programs, I'm confident, will become one of those earned time credits that people can work through to advance their prospects for success upon release. And so I've got a great team that's working together with me to help me develop it. Talking with Andy and having his support, where he is now I would call it a kind of an ambassador, where he's vocal talking about how it works, and it's just so much easier to introduce it to others. And that's what I really experienced yesterday when I made the presentation to 20 different wardens from the North Central region. And I'll be visiting each one of those federal prisons. We'll be bringing our programs into those federal prisons. We will be able to have an impact on the lives of thousands of people who are serving sentences and who are going to begin really understanding what I mean when it says, the first step to building a successful pathway is to define success. You can't change the past, but you can always work toward making something better. The second step is you've got to have these really clearly defined, what we call SMART goals. And this is a well-documented story about SMART goals. It should be specific. They should be measurable. They should be action-oriented. They should be realistic, and they should be time-bound. If you make decisions in accordance with that SMART goal principle, you've kind of started what I would call the prerequisites to our Straight A Guide program. And that Straight A Guide program starts with attitude. You've got to have the right attitude, and that is we define as 100% commitment to success. 3, you've got to have an aspiration. You've got to see yourself as doing something more. While I was serving time in prison, I saw myself as doing exactly what I'm doing right now, making presentations and to people who are vulnerable or to people who are living in struggle and helping them see how they can do better. You've got to take action. You can't just talk about it. You got to really do what you say you're going to do. You have got to create your own accountability metrics and measure your progress along the way so you can always stay the course. The next one is you've got to stay aware. That means keeping your head in the game at all times. You got to know the opportunities that are around you, and you got to make the world aware of you. Because if the world becomes aware of you, you're going to find that it's easier to get support and people who are advocating on your behalf as well. Next is authentic. You've got to be for real. And to be for real, that means we've got to create our own tools, tactics, and resources that are going to help us advance the plan. Next was celebrate every achievement. So achievement is another module that we teach. And no matter how small the achievement, it is important to grow, knowing that those little steps are going to lead to better opportunities. And then the last one is appreciation. We really want to live in a state of gratitude and express gratitude for the blessings that come our way. And I consider it a real blessing that after 26 years in prison, I now have the privilege of being able to go into prisons for good and to show people the pathway that will lead them from a life of struggle and difficulty and complication, help them understand that their behavior and their decisions in prison are going to have a direct influence on whether those people become homeless or unemployed or underemployed or back in trouble with the criminal justice system, or they're on a pathway to become more successful. And if they're part of the Prison Professors program, my goal is to help them become more successful. I am Michael Santos, and I just wanted to give this simple recap of my trip to Kansas City. I consider it a great success anytime I get an opportunity to influence the lives of tens of thousands of people and to help them believe in what they can become. And I believe in you. If you're inside of a jail or a prison and you're watching these videos, I want you to know I believe in you. The decisions you're making today are going to have a direct relationship on your pathway to getting out earlier, your level of liberty once you come home, and hopefully your pathway to success. So thank you for being a part of our community. I am Michael Santos, and just wanted to say thanks.